Hey guys, welcome to Draw With Sandee at the Little Artistic Nook. Today we'll be drawing this cute little fig. To begin our fig, I'm just going to place a little marker here just in the center of my page. And then from there, I'm going to start to draw a curved line towards the left side of the paper. So just begin curving slightly to the left, and then you're going to round out as you come probably halfway down your page. And we're going to start to bring that line back towards the bottom center and over eventually to the right. So basically we've created a large C shape with just some fancy ends. Now coming back to the top, I'm going to finish off my fig by just drawing a mirrored line here facing the one that I've just completed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around to the bottom, and I'm just going to leave a small little space so that we can create a little bit of a flatness here. So you can just pretty much connect that very bottom with just a little horizontal line. And then we'll come up to the top and draw out a stem. So you can bring a curved line up towards the top of your page, and then make a little flick that's sort of coming up to the corner, and you can create a little teardrop shape, so that's the little top of the stem we can see. From the left side of the stem, we're just going to draw a line that follows the outside curve of our fig and just try to keep it pretty close. We're just creating that inside cut edge, so what we're drawing essentially is a fig that's been split in half. So you're going to bring this line all the way down to the bottom, and you're going to let it meet right up with this very bottom part here. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue that line around on the right side of our fig. Now we're going to come back up to this left side again, and I'm going to start just a little bit higher and do the same thing, but as we come through the center, I want this line to be a little bit further away. So we're just giving our fig a little bit of shape here and dimension, and then you'll taper it back in towards the bottom. I'm also going to add in some leaves, so I'm just going to come up to the right side here of my stem, and I'm going to just draw out a basic leaf. So to do that, I'm just going to draw a curved line, and as I come to the top of the leaf, I just sort of flick my pen away a little bit. Make a point at the top, and then we'll create a mirror image line, and I'm going to come down and just create a little bit of a stem to attach back to our fig. Then we can go ahead and add in some veins, so just drawing a line from the bottom to the top of the leaf, and then just some small lines that are sort of V'ing out from the center. I'm going to add one more leaf just sort of hiding behind our fig, so I'm going to draw a curved line that just it's basically just coming underneath my first leaf and then connecting back to the top of the fig. And I'm just going to add some veins here as well. Okay guys, and I think I want my fig to be like this super cool little rock and roll fig, so we're going to give them some star-shaped eyes. So to do that, I start with the top of my star by drawing a little upside down triangle here, or V, drawing one out to the side, and then two across the bottom, almost like you're making a W, and then the fifth one over on the other side. I'm going to do the same thing for both eyes, so obviously if you have a preferred way of drawing out stars, then feel free to do so. We are just going to color them in solid anyways, so it really doesn't matter what your lines look like. Then we'll just add in a little smile right in between. So before I move on to the watercolor, I'm just going to shade in these star shapes with my black marker. And the watercolor is going to be a time lapse. If you guys want a more in-depth tutorial, then please leave a comment below. Okay, so all of my materials will be listed in the description below, but to start, I'm just doing a basic wash here on the outside edge of my fig with some purple paints. So I'm using just two different shades of purple and blending them together. You can play with the shades a little bit, maybe even adding a little bit of pink into the outer peel if you like. Next, we're going to move into the face area of our fig, and this is just a really fun way to apply the color. So all I'm going to be doing is just taking some different washes, and here I'm just using pink, and what I'm doing is I'm just tapping the tip of my brush into this space. I'm also adding in a little bit of yellow, and I'm just trying to fill in all the white, or as much of it as possible right now, without worrying too much about the color saturation or where it's going. I just want to create some different shades here, and the yellow is going to bring out some highlights as it dries. Next, I'm just going to wash in a couple shades of green on the leaves, and again, this is just sort of our first layer, so I'm not too concerned about the intensity of the light and shadow. And then finally, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do that little outside edge just around and the stem. So I've switched to my smaller brush, and I'm just using like a yellow ochre color, and I'm going to pull in maybe a little bit of green and brown as I go around the edges here of the fig. Alright guys, so you want to make sure it's dried a bit before our second layer here. And then to start, I'm just going to come back into this little cut edge here that I painted my yellow ochre, and I'm just going to start to bring in a little bit more brown to create some more shadow and depth. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of extra shadowing here along that back peel, so the purple part that we can see. And again, I'm using my smaller brush because at this point now I just want to have a little bit more control over how much paint I'm actually putting on the paper. So I'm going to add in just some purples, maybe a little tiny bit of blue, just to create a little bit more shadow along the bottom. And then all I do is I just use a bit more water to wash that color out towards the top. For the inside of the fig, I'm going to continue with that little tapping technique here. So just once again, I'm going to play with that pink and yellow, and I'm just sort of going over the same areas. So if I have a spot where there's more yellow, I'm just going to sort of pump up that yellow with a bit more saturated paint. And I'm also going to add in just a little bit of green here and there. So just be mindful that when you're putting that green next to your pink color, you do run that risk of the colors running together and starting to look muddy. So if you're too concerned about that, then you can sort of touch your green closer to the yellow, because you're just going to get some different shades of green in that sense. Keep in mind too guys that your paint is going to look a lot darker now that it's wet than it will when it's dry, so don't be afraid of the rich color that you might be seeing. As I come down towards the bottom here, I'm going to start bringing in a little bit of the purple, one of the shades that I used on the outer peel, and I've chosen the lighter shade, which has actually got a little bit of that pink tone as well. And then for my final stage, I'm just going to intensify the green in the leaves. So pretty much I'm just taking the same greens, my smaller brush, and I'm just going to start creating some shadow and light. So what I like to do is I sort of like to go up the veins with a more concentrated color. And if your leaf is a little bit wet, then it's kind of fun because those colors will sort of bleed out and create other little tiny veins for you that you didn't even have to plan out. Then finally, just to finish off the composition, I'm going to just tap in some watercolor around the background, and I'm just using colors that I've already used in the fig itself. And so you can just leave them as dots just as they land, or you can take a brush with clean water and just sort of spread out those little paint droplets. And then last but not least, I'm just going to add in a ground line using some grayish blue and a little bit of purple. And guys, that is our cute little fig. So thanks so much for drawing with me today. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, for another Draw with Sandee, keep making art and keep smiling.